You know, I like being surprised once in a while, guys. Like that time I was walking down the street and I realized that my local GameStop was closed down. I mean, I get it, digital games are taking over, but closing down GameStop is like closing down a part of my childhood. Speaking of things hurting from my childhood, that's kind of how I felt after watching the first Suicide Squad movie back in 2016. I didn't know much. I didn't know much really about the team before this movie came out. I mean, I knew who Deadshot was, Harley Quinn, Killer Croc, Captain Boomerang, and Joker. But other than that, everyone else was a fresh new face to me. And when the movie was over, I really didn't care for it too much. It had an inconsistent tone. It wanted to be funny in some places, it wanted to be serious in some places. A lot of the action was hard to make out, and it had a villain that I couldn't take seriously, even if I was under the influence of some, should I say, more stronger things, you know? So, with this new film on the horizon, I was a bit iffy on it because I don't know. I was let down by that first one. And after watching this movie, I am happy to say this is a major improvement over the last one. The characters are a lot more interesting this time around. The tone is a lot more consistent. It focuses more on being fun and over the top and really makes use of that heavy R rating. And I would say this is one of DC's better movies, even though that's not really saying much considering DC's track record so far. Ugh. So, starting off with the positives of Suicide Squad, you can definitely tell that this is a James Gunn film. It's very zany, stylistic, vibrant, and most importantly, it's self aware and knows what it wants to be. I think the best thing about this is the fact that James Gunn takes these unknown characters, unless you're a hardcore DC fan, and fleshes all of them out to where each one of them gets their own shtick, their own moment to stand out, even though some of them are very, very expendable. And when I say expendable, very expendable. Now, getting into the main squad, you have Idris Elba, who's pretty much a stand-in for Deadshot, but there's enough between both of them so it doesn't really feel like a copy and paste. I thought Rick Flag in this film was a lot better. He feels more important to the plot than just this guy who just is there to say a bunch of exposition like he was in the first film. Margot Robbie still knocks it out of the park as Harley Quinn, particularly a hallway sequence, which I thought was really good and straight out of a comic book. Even King Shark, he was pretty good too. And even having good old Rocky Sylvester play him was like the perfect cherry on top with that. And who even thought like somebody like Polka Dot Man would be one of the standouts in this movie? And me being a big John Cena fan, he was always my favorite wrestler. I will say he is excellent as the Peacekeeper. I think this type of character really fits somebody like him. Now, this film does have great pacing. I've heard some complaints saying that maybe the film does drag in some places, particularly one scene with Harley with one of the bad guys. But for me, this movie really didn't have any dull pacing. The first hour of this movie was just nonstop with either character dynamics and action sequences. And speaking of the action sequences, there's war sequences. You got hand-to-hand fights. You got hallway fights. You got this giant starfish fight at the end, but you believe it because of how zany and over the top everything else is. So when the starfish shows up, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I could see that happening. And I think one of the main reasons why this film works is that it's not trying to win any Oscars. It's not trying to get any awards. It's just trying to be an over-the-top, fun, enjoyable movie. Movies like this, guys, are the reasons why I love comic books and more specifically comic book movies. I think this is the way that DC should make their movies, and I noticed something with this movie specifically. This is the complete opposite of a Marvel movie. Marvel doesn't like swearing like that. DC does more swearing. Marvel shies away from blood and gore. DC encourages the blood and gore. And I think like this is the way they should make the movies. Just be 100% the opposite of Marvel. Don't try to be like Marvel. Don't try to imitate them. Be your own thing. And you can tell when this movie is its own thing and it's not trying to be like Marvel, it's not trying to win any wars, you see the good reviews. All right? But overall, guys, I really did enjoy this movie. I really hope future movies in DC are like this or try to be somewhat like this. This movie gets an outstanding 10 out of 10. And this is why I truly believe, in my opinion, this movie, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, is perfect. Please subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.